Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the beautiful Kyber Empire. It's great to be in the Empire today. You are watching Arnold Holonet News, the only news you'll ever need because you have no other choice. I hope you guys love spreadsheets because we got a lot to go over today. The Crate Dragon Raid controversy keeps on going, but the good news is that Relic and Arrow Magnifiers, if you were in a guild that was screwed with the new Crate Dragon Raid rewards, well, the good news is we're heading in the right direction. We're not quite at the finish line that we want to get at, as we're going to talk about. The old reward system was just a little bit better than the new one, but that's not as surprising as, well, this right here. Are you ready to prove that you're a true gamer and can take on a raid boss like me? Well, then you gotta download Raid Shadow Legends. Literally hundreds of champions to collect for one of the best hero collectors of all time. And there is currently an egg hunt going on in Raid. Hunt dragon eggs by downloading Raid using my links down below. And from April 14th to May 15th, and you'll have a chance to win legendary Raid champions to Amazon gift cards with a total value of $20,000. If you haven't started playing Raid, now is the time. And if you're a new player, you'll get all of these amazing bonuses. And all these rewards will be waiting right up here. Okay, guys, I just want to put this out there. Although this is a great step in the right direction, we're making improvements on the whole issue of relic gates and guilds just being screwed out of rewards. Again, the spreadsheets are going to show it. I just want to put this out there. This would just be so much simpler if they just do what they've been doing. They add a new raid, they let you sim the old one, you get the new rewards from the new raid, so people don't feel like they're getting screwed off what they were already getting before. Because as we're going to show, the rewards didn't change, they just got redistributed differently, and there's still going to be a net negative in certain areas out there. So CG, I know you're listening. Can we just go back to that? It's a lot simpler. I don't know with this system if people are going to ever feel like they're kind of being, fulfilled and brought back to where they were before. With these raid rewards, this is just a lot more complicated, as I've been saying. But anyways, late last night, there was a post that Tuscan, a meathead, put out there in regards to CG hearing our feedback. Now, we already talked about a post from the previous day, which they said, you know, we're listening, we're going to be doing some changes. I just want to emphasize this. The overall amount of rewards, I want to start up here. It's not going to be changed for this Crate Dragon Raid. Just when and where you get them. And that's the important thing, because as we're going to see with the spreadsheet, if you're in like an early-ish game, like my free-to-play guild's around 200 million GP, I think, if I recall, we were able to do challenge rank raid. Going to the Crate Dragon Raid, we were screwed out. You had to at least hit 130 million guild score to start getting those Arrow Magnifiers, the Mark III currencies, I should be specific, and you were kind of screwed and you're forced to go to Sith Trevor Raid. Well, now at least there's an incentive to get in on the Crate Dragon Raid, because Arrow Magnifiers are going to be back on the menu for early game guild, and I'm kind of surprised. Based off these changes, my guild and even my own free-to-play roster is able to get to the threshold. I wasn't expecting my leftover Beskar, Mando, Scoundrels, and Jedi Knight Revan Old Republic to actually give me a somewhat usable score inside the raid. Anyways, let's get into this. As we stated yesterday, we're going to make some adjustments to the reward boxes to front-load more rewards for the guilds. A large quantity of tokens, especially Mark 1 and Mark 2, have been moved from individual milestones to early guild milestones to allow players' efforts to better benefit their whole entire guild. We already read that part right there, that the overall rewards are still the same. Nothing's changed when you get them, and that's an important thing. We're taking all the rewards that were concentrated more later on, spreading it to the early game of the crates. Thank you for all your feedback. The team will continue monitoring data and feedback and make more adjustments if necessary. Yeah, adjustments are still going to be needed. We'll go over them again. It's just, I think that's just a much more complicated way of doing things with the system that we already knew we had in place before. Anyways, you know, when CG busts out the graphs, they're getting serious. And hey, they actually labeled their X and Y axes. Sometimes when they do these graphs, they never put like an X or Y axis indicator on what we're measuring. And they just have this bar going up, but we have no idea what it means. If you don't want to read the numbers, this is basically what you need to know. You have the total points required before, total points required after. And as you see, it's a little bit different than how it worked out before. Going down below, the Mark III available before and after. This is what I'm mostly concerned about, because Relic gates needed for, you know, Executor, Profundity, and a variety of other stuff out there. Jabba the Hutt. You know, if you want to get Jabba for this raid, but you can't get Relic gate, something's kind of wrong, right? Well, as you can see here, the Mark III start kicking in really early on compared to where they were before. And that is an improvement, and that is good news. The question is, though, are you still getting screwed on rewards? So we're gonna check that out. But here's if you want to look at the actual numbers here, they show you before and after. The biggest takeaway here is this personal reward track is almost next to useless now. As you see with the personal rewards, it's like gonna be a lot of zeros and not a lot of stuff in there. They took a lot of the rewards, as you can see, from this personal track, and they shoved it inside of the guild reward crates instead. So I think this might be an opportunity. They really want to stick to this personal guild reward, you know, conquesty type of thing that they're doing. They could probably fill it with other stuff that could easily help, you know, people kind of feel like they're put back on par. You know, putting the shards in there for Trey, Kenobi, Han, so they don't have to go out of their way and get them with their own currency. Or for people that already have them, they get their shard shop currency. They put the guild event token currency that they had before. Credits. It's like there are ways to make this easy. It feels like they're making this more complicated than it needs to be in terms of the creation of it and the solution to fix it. And the most important thing again for me is this adjustment with the Mark IIIs. Before, again, you would not see any sort of Mark III in the personal track ever, basically, and until you go to the later tracks, or to the later part of the track. And the same thing, the guild award updates, which I was looking at. If you were not in a guild that could at least get 130 million points, you weren't getting it, and now you get more if you were already hitting that in terms of the Mark IIIs. And more importantly, if you were in a guild like my free-to-play guild, I think we got to the second crate. Now we're gonna start getting some. So it went from 0 to 500. So this is an improvement. It's just the fact of the matter, this is an improvement, but it's still not, again, because as we showed before, the rewards aren't being changed, they're being redistributed, and it's still, there's a problem. There's some empty areas that we got to fill in. And I want to give big props to this right here. Holy cow. I think CG needs to get in touch with these folks, you know, to test out the game, you know, hit me up if you want me to test out your game. That's a whole different thing. Or get in touch with these people to like do the math. I'm actually more and more thinking about, I don't think CG is trying to pull a fast. I think they weren't even sure of how the math was going to work out. In the end, I digress. Danny has made a fantastic graphic. We're going to focus on the updated rewards, but if you go, I'll leave a link down below to all this stuff. They have a link to a previous, before they announced these changes that we just went over. You can kind of see the improvement. You kind of see it expanded a little bit. So let's focus on where things are still a little weak here. Now, I do want to note they mentioned that there's a couple of assumptions to be made here. I'm not going to read all of them. You can see right here. I think the most important thing is that they assume that you simmed or placed 15th in all the previous raids. So there's definitely some assumptions to be made. If you were somewhere getting more rewards because you're higher up on the rank, so you're number one in your guild, or if you're lower, it's going to be different. So assumptions have to be, and that's another reason why this is more complicated than it needs to be. Just let us sim the old raids and just let's go on with our lives, huh? This is needlessly complicated. Anyways, as you can see here, I'm not even going to put myself in the equation. Me and my guild, we're largely going to benefit from this new change. Green means good, right? Green means good. And they show you basically the value. We're going to talk about some of the shipment stuff here, but they're showing if you use your currency for Zimbittles, Electriums, Impulse Detectors, all that stuff, what it looks like from a net positive and net negative. I think the most important thing is it looks like in general, the Gear 12, people are going to be taking a hit on that still. And again, this is stuff that on average people had before. So can we just fill it in? Just give us the sim to raise. I don't know. I keep talking about sim to raise. I seriously think that's the easiest solution to all this. But you can see red means we're not at, you know, a net zero situation. Yellow means, you know, kind of questionable. Green means we're heading in the right direction in this regard. And again, kind of taking where my guild landed. I think I said what I said. We landed in, I think around 10 million, something like that. You know, it's not looking great, but at least if you're hitting 17 million, you're seeing that there's an upside to at least hitting that. Again, this is just overly complicated. I'm going to try to simplify this to how I'm looking at it on my free-to-play account. So I'm looking at this. I'm focusing on arrow magnifiers for the moment. Here are the rewards for arrow magnifiers inside of the challenge Rancor raid. Again, the biggest point of contention is that people, something that they're able to get, now they can't get. Now there's an incentive, as I showed, to at least engage with the Crate Dragon raid. And another point I forgot to put out there, Crate Dragon raid you can do 2 times a week. Challenge Rancor raid you only could do 1, and it's like, I think it was 1 every 8 days. So let's just keep it simple. Once a week for the challenge Rancor raid. So these rewards that I'm showing, we're gonna have to multiply by 2 because you can do it twice. So anyways, in the old raids, I'm going to assume that most are probably getting 5, 3, or 1. That's, you know, that's at least half we're heading down that direction. More than half we're heading down that direction. And of course, if you were someone that was getting number 1, you're going to get screwed unless you're getting a lot more points inside of your guild. But let's just kind of focus on the 5, 3s, and 1s. So again, challenge rank rate only can do once per week. And let's say you got 15th place. 15th place, they simmed it, boom, you'd get 5. And the good thing is you might have not even had to do anything. You just let the top 10 people take care of the raid and they were able to carry you. You got to work a little bit more for it now. If we head into the current raid structure, doing it 2 times a week, I'm just going to take the example of the 17 mil that my guild's hitting on the free-to-play account. Now we are getting 500 tokens per week. 1,000 tokens a week, because 2 times 500 is 1,000. So we're getting 1,000 tokens. Let's go show the math on how that looks like. Hopping over to my free-to-play account really quickly, please, and thank you. So arrow magnifiers, as you see here, arrow magnifiers, it costs 400 of these Mark III pieces to get 2 of them, and then there's like another one down here. You get another 3 for 600. So in total, that's 1,000. So on average, if you're at least hitting that 17 mil second crate, which my guild is able to, and again, we don't have anything great. We don't have Jabas in our guild and stuff like that. I'm using Beskar Mando, leftover Scoundrels. Funny enough, it's doing well. That's kind of what my guild's kind of sitting at too. You're able to get now at least 5 pieces of arrow magnifiers per week, which kind of puts, again, on average, if you were hitting 11 to whatever, the rank 11 to rank 50, you're at least going to be on average, or maybe even an improvement. If you were someone that was always getting like 40 or something, you're getting more now. So I'm trying to put this in simple terms that there is an improvement here, but there are still weak areas, and I'm hoping that they're going to address this. So right now we're not running a crate drag array because the new reward changes haven't kicked in yet, I believe, but I'm hoping that this is at least going to incentivize people to play this raid. And here we go, actually. Yeah, this is where we were before. So this is going to change now with how the whole structure is going to work again. More complicated than it needs to be right now. So the good news is at least Relegate's back in the menu. If you were focusing on maybe getting Jabba for this raid, at least now you can get the arrow magnifiers in that regard. But I want to focus on a few other things that CG might be neglecting, ignoring. Again, as we've shown, there's still an issue with shard shop currency. There's still an issue with credits, guild event token currency. We're missing out on all that stuff. So if maybe now that personal reward track is kind of almost useless, can we fill in the character shards in there? Because one of the biggest issues is, one, if you have to farm these character shards, so you got to use your currency you'd rather use for gear on the character shards. Can we just get the character shards on the reward track early on? Secondly, if I want shard shop currency, I can't get shard shop currency on my free to play or my main account. I can't farm anymore. So that's shard shop currency that's not going in there anymore for a variety of gears out there. The other thing I want to put out there, some of these exchange rates are a little wild. I think one way that they could maybe get themselves out of this situation, if they don't want to let us sim the raids, they don't want to do any more complicated math to figure things out, change some of the conversion rates to some of these currency, the gear ratios. Some of these things are just absolutely preposterous. Like, who's going to want to spend 1,000 currency to get Zeta mats? Probably no one. You're likely not looking at that stuff, but if they would maybe give you more gear, have the cost, people might be like, all right, this could be a way to get us out of this predicament that we're sitting in. But especially when you get to the relics, like this is where we start scratching our heads a little bit. The conversion rate is absolutely insane. For some of these pieces here, 1,650 Mark II currency just to get 3 chromium transistors. Yeah, that's when people start like saying, all right, we're kind of getting really screwed right now with this whole situation. So there's ways to get out of this. We're heading in a right direction. If you were in a guild that looked like, again, like my free-to-play, that just you were just out of arrow magnifiers forever, now you're back in the game. You can get the arrow magnifiers with the assumptions I made. You're going to at least kind of get back on track to your weekly arrow magnifier free-to-play intake before considering anything else like the shipments you can pull them out of and other stuff of that matter. We're kind of getting back on track with all this. But again, still needlessly complicated, in my opinion, when it comes to all this with the conversion rates of the currencies. This shop now, it's like way too much to scroll through, and the math still overly complicated. The fact that we need people in our community to make these spreadsheets to try to show you you're getting screwed, you're not getting screwed, and CG might not even know the math themselves. We might be making different assumptions. Way too complicated. I'm still a fan of just let us sim the old stuff. We were supposed to get a sim for the heroic Sith raid anyways. This is just way more complicated system, but there are solutions. We're heading in the right direction, as we know, but we're not quite there yet. So that's the status of it all. I'm hoping that we don't have to keep talking about this much longer, and I'm hoping this doesn't just fall into the sunset and we don't have to, and we don't talk about it all anymore, because CG, they're like, we're done. We're not quite there. I want people to enjoy this raid and start focusing on those goals that they have in Galaxies. Maybe start working towards Jabba. Mandalorians are fantastic. I'm going to start putting out some more in-depth raid guides in all these teams. And I don't want people saying, well, I can't get Relic 8 anymore, so I can't get these teams. Give us back the Relic 8 and let's fill in the gaps that we have with all this. Anyways, that's freaking Arnold Hollinet news for you. Let me know your thoughts down below. You feeling better? I think at the minute we should feel better, but we're still getting robbed in some areas out there. Oh, you know what? I'm going to end on one more positive note. I really do like the big batch purchases. Hey, can someone bring the screen down one more time? Just one more time. I really do enjoy this. It's satisfying to just buy like a massive like batch of like Carbantes or something, like boom, 125 right there. That part does feel good. So there are some good things about this. I just want to put it out there, but still, stop screwing us over. Give us what we want, what we really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. It's great to be in the Empire today.